Mr. Mike Terrell.
Mike Terrell in the house.
Mike Terrell, please step up to the podium. Mike Terrell.
Wow, what a day.
Yeah.
We barely missed the heat, too, it looks like. It's starting to...
Is it hot out?
I just was looking at the weather.
Or is it just warm?
It's in the 90s now. Yeah. But what a day, man.
What a day. What a day.
See 26 athletes coming through all over.
Solid day, 6 for 6. Stepping atop the podium.
Wow, man.
Yep. Pretty solid day. Great efforts, smart racing, and lots of fun to be had.
Yeah. Lots of fun. Now, for those of you who don't know what happened, Coach Robbie and I yesterday decided to sign up for an Olympic today. And your first instinct was to do it. My first instinct was not to do it. And
then my second instinct was to not do it, and then your second instinct was to do it.
Yeah, and my opinion ruled, evidently. So we headed over to Ashland City and actually went back to the stomping grounds of my very first Olympic, which was similar in one way. Which, by the way, I've been, in case you're wondering what I've been up to, I tried to take a nap, but I couldn't, so I went back and I've been listening to the How to Not Suck at Swimming podcast that we put out earlier, number 12, I believe it is.
Number 12, the most, or if not one of the most popular podcasts we've ever done.
And now it's getting more popular again with me. It's on repeat.
I like it. Bumping up our downloads.
Yeah, bumping up the downloads and, just trying to get better, man.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So this is the C26 podcast. I am Mike and
Coach Robbie here.
Coach Robbie over there. And yeah, we just got back from Ashland City a little while ago. It was just a good day, man. It was a good race. A lot of cool people there. They didn't have really a good vegan post-race food selection.
They did. They had Witt's barbecue, which I gotta say, man, I love me some Witt's barbecue.
Yeah, I mean,
gosh, but I held strong. I did break my carbonated beverage streak, but it was a well-deserved. It was my celebration Coca-Cola Classic, but I'll be back on the no Coke carbonated drink stint here.
I mean, you just had one and got it out of the way. How was it? It was good though, wasn't it?
Man, it did. It hit the spot.
It did.
Yep, not gonna lie.
Yep.
Not gonna lie.
So you had a great race, man. First
Thanks.
in your age group. I was proud of you up there on the podium.
Thank you, Dad.
Yeah, so proud of my son and coach for getting up there. Sixth overall?
Funny. Yeah, sixth overall, and first in my, usually very competitive age group of 35 to 39.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really happy. I honestly have this, no regrets, and the only, I guess, not even a regret, but my kind of funny, I probably could have done better on it was my first transition. Me and my bike helmet strap, which we've actually joked about on this podcast before. I felt like I was in that scene in American Pie, like trying to get the bra strap off. I mean, I feel like it took me like 6 years.
Dude, I had that with my race belt.
I did too, but I just kept. I was like, I'm having trouble with my race belt. Here's a great idea. Why don't I just start running and fix it while I'm running?
Yeah.
So I piddled a little too much in T1, but my T2 was, I think, like 50 seconds. So I was on it. I'm always faster in T1 because I'm always super pumped to get off the bike and start running.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to actually spin my race belt around and look at it because I couldn't do it behind my back. It kept getting in the one tooth deal, whatever. But yeah, so today we thought we would not only, kind of take a look at our races, but just basically take a look at Olympic distance racing in general and use, our experience, which is very fresh in our mind, to kind of, maybe give you guys some good info on what worked, what didn't work, what happened, how we're going to rebound from this, how we're going to parlay this into Ironman Louisville in a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
So,
go ahead.
No,
I want to get your feedback first.
Yeah, well, the first, obviously, it was a wave start. Your wave was first off, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was a river swim, a clockwise rectangle.
Yes.
And I noticed that, the first leg was upstream, and they said the current wasn't all that bad, and it probably wasn't, but it did kind of seem like it affected me a little bit. But the one thing I noticed was that most people lined up and kind of hugged the shoreline on your deal, and I noticed you lined up right inside and had a clean shot at the buoy.
Yeah, nobody else did that. I was but anyway, that's their problem if they want to swim longer.
I thought my first thought was, well, maybe they want to stay closer to the shore going upstream or whatever. But I looked out, and that's immediately the idea that I had, and that's exactly what I did. Is I just went on the inside and went straight at that buoy.
Yeah, nobody's there. It was the straightest shot, and that's the thing. Like, even if there's if you're going to be 10 meters to the left, you're still going against some current. And if you want to make it that much longer, then by all means go ahead. But generally it's always the straightest and shortest line to the buoy is always the best idea.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a huge wave by any means either. So,
no.
But were you happy with that decision?
Oh, yeah, I executed my swim to close to perfection, which I rarely ever say, but I felt really, really good. Like you said, it was an upstream swim. It was against the current, and then a turn, going towards the other shoreline, then another turn that was with the current, and then obviously the same coming back in. And so my kind of 3-part strategy, anytime I have a layout like that, when there's going to be, even if it's a little bit of current, it's still current, and so, and this is something for Louisville, I always think about too, is that when I'm swimming against the current, I really pick up my stroke rate. I don't do, which is another reason why, we harp on this on the podcast a lot, is about, the individuals who like to glide. Well, if you ever get stuck going against the current and you're a glider, then you're hitting just pause every 2 seconds. And so going against the current, I like to really, really pick up the stroke rate. And plus, just starting off, I like to kind of get some separation, just kind of get my own little groove and get the blood flowing. And so I high tempo, pretty fast stroke rate, and then, made the turn, straight shot, and then with the current, I always slow my stroke rate down just a little bit and really focus on taking long and strong strokes, because you're getting some push from the current, and in that push, actually, if you get a really, really long stroke, and let's say you have a current come behind you, if you're pushing back against it, that resistance is just helping you go forward even more. And then there was another guy in my wave. I was in the 39 and under wave, and there were 2 guys ahead of me. One guy was way off. He was an obvious swimmer. Just went out like a bat out of hell. And the other guy was right around me, and he was taking pretty good angles. And my plan was to, when we made the final turn to go back upstream, was to just hop on his feet, let him do the work for the last 400 meters upstream. And that's what I did. Hopped on his feet and was in probably slower than Ironman pace feel, and just let him do the work, and hopped out of the water, and he congratulated me on a great swim, and I thanked him for letting me follow his feet.
Well, that's good, man. That's sort of what I had in mind as I got into the water.
Mm-hmm.
And but you said something there about get the blood going, and that me, I've historically been, ease into the swim and let it warm up, and because I'm a wild card in the water, as you know.
Yes, you are.
My first race that I did there was 42 minutes for an Olympic. That was the first Olympic I did 5 years ago. And today I was not very far from that time. I think I was at 38 minutes getting out of the water, and I was furious. But I've also done, an hour 6 Ironman. So it's I can't, I wonder if maybe because we were talking about this on the last podcast, I think, about I was struggling on the bike and my legs were just not getting warmed up, and I forced blood into them, and I think maybe, I've gotten so much more comfortable in the water since the last, when I started, obviously, but I wonder if it's not time for me to go out a little harder just to wake up, because because I feel like I felt like tired the whole time, and halfway through I felt like I was going hard, but it was just basically to hold on and survive. I mean, I felt like I was dragging a lot. I just couldn't get the body. I mean, I just felt weak, and I probably took some bad lines too, but no excuses. I'm just trying to figure out how to get better, and any given day that could have been, my last half, real distance half, other than Chattanooga, I swam a 34. So I was 4 minutes faster with 500 more meter or 400 more yards. So it's in there. It's just a matter of figuring out. Sometimes in the morning I'm a little bit off, and I think I just felt a little bit off today. But so as I said, I got out of the water and I looked at my watch, and I was just like, the first thing I thought of was like, all right, I gotta go now, man. I kind of, we talk about bike for show, run for dough all the time, and I was like, well, I'm gonna do both because I just knew, coming out of the water that slow, that I was just gonna see if I could do it,
Yeah. And
I talked about that even at Chattanooga. I was holding back on the bike, and my run was just flat anyway. So I think I could have helped that flat of a run with a faster bike. But today, both things seem to really work out.
Well, how do you, because I'm sure we have a lot of listeners who, may or may not struggle with the swim. How do you mentally bounce back from that and kind of regather yourself and not just let it, keep you in a bad mindset the whole race?
Well, the first thing I thought of after the race was, wow, it was a great workout, because I really fought it, So that's really all I'm thinking about is in terms of how am I going to get my swim dialed in for Louisville. So it didn't really bum me out too hard, except at that moment, because I knew, it's always like you're kind of coming from behind then. You're really under the gun, and you got a lot of ground to make up. And, I went into this, it was a small race. I did make the podium, but, there's probably only 5 or 6 in my age group. But I was really more concerned about looking at a time range, and I thought, my time was fairly justifiable, a podium time in the end. And I think I was pretty close to the winner but so I'm just going to take it as an experience. I didn't feel good from stroke 1 for whatever reason. I don't know if I was just mentally off my game, and then I started forcing it. You know how that goes. And then there was just it was like talking, relax, and I just couldn't relax because I just felt like, for whatever reason, and I'm sure that stuff happens. I'm sure it happens in every discipline. So, luckily it came together on the bike when we got, I got out of the water, got on my bike, and I got to admit, I was kind of feeling like my legs were a little bit cooked because I've been riding a lot lately, and I rode yesterday too, and I rode not hard, but I put some efforts in. So getting out of the water, I was like, oh boy, I hope my,
hope they're there.
Yeah. So, you just got on the bike, and luckily my cleat clipped in, because I've been having problems with that too. So why don't we talk about, so you executed a perfect swim, or a damn near perfect swim in your mind, at least strategically.
Yeah.
And then you get into transition and you can't get your helmet on, but
it wasn't like a light years, but it was, for an Olympic, it was just kind of like, I should probably be in a little bit more of a hurry, but, I was like, that was a good swim. I'm enjoying myself. Gather yourself. Let's not freak out, and let's just get ready to rumble.
Mm-hmm. And that's what happened. So that bike course.
First off, like this, it's the, if you want to look it up, it's the 2017 River Bluff Triathlon, and I think they did just a marvelous job putting it on. It's about as safe as a course as I've ever been on.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
In terms of no traffic and just it was great. And so, Yeah, I started off on the bike, and it's always interesting when, like I tell myself, hey, I don't want to push it, but I want to see what I got. I want to go by feel, you know, and then I came out of the water third out of the 39 and under. I knew one guy was super competitive, and he blew by me like I was standing still. And then the other guy, I knew I was going to catch him fairly quick, but I had a plan in mind. I didn't want to stay glued to glued to my watch. I wanted to go by feel, and I thought that I'm getting pretty good at my feel right now, and so I thought that 210-ish would be a pretty good range for me from a average watt standpoint. And so that's what I did. I was actually 209. And I do have to say that, the work that you and I did on the trace earlier this week, or, Thursday, I feel like it was like 7 days ago, a week ago.
I know it.
We did work on the trace at about almost 75 miles. And,
very hilly.
Very hilly, almost 4,000 feet of climbing. And we really just focused on staying in Aero, and, get going up the hills in, in staying in our air position, and that did me so good today. And here's the thing about like where I am, and I raced an Olympic, and it was like 24-hour notice, and I'm training for Louisville. I didn't feel necessarily fast today, but boy, did I feel strong.
That's exactly right.
And that is 100% what Ironman racing is all about. It's about feeling strong. And I want to talk about that after we get done with our race recap, so don't let me forget. But no, it was I would say it was a fair bike course. It wasn't pancake flat, but it wasn't slow either. And and so I felt controlled. I ended up averaging 209 instead of 210 with the normalized power of like 212. So really, really good. It was really, really good control for me. I mean, because I knew I was going to get passed by some people just, blowing my doors off. And I don't know what kind of runners they are, what kind of runners they aren't. But I just knew I didn't want to chase. I wanted to run my race. I wanted to be controlled and consistent. I wanted it to feel, albeit harder, like a higher watt I was going to push than Louisville. I wanted it to be strong, and I wanted it to be in control. And so I ended up averaging 209, and my normalized power was 212. And there we go. My VI was 1.02, and 1.00 is perfect pacing. So I was really, really good. I wanted to average between 80 to 85%, and I ended up averaging 84. So executed well. And probably could have pushed it, but I feel like I always say that, and then I remember that I ran so well. So I'm like, well, woulda, coulda, shoulda, didn't, and I'm glad because I ran really well. So yeah, that was the bike.
Yeah, and when we talk about riding at the trace on Thursday, and we talk about Aero, all right, and obviously that's a huge part of triathlon is aerodynamics, but to me, the thing we learned riding those hill repeats and staying in Aero on all that climbing was the control part that you just mentioned. And that's what I learned when we were doing that. I've always just been a, get into my horns, climb, spin guy, and, take it easy and do all that. And I think that's smart. I still haven't figured out where that's going to, play into my climbing or whatever. But even still, it's like we are pushing bigger gears than we should have at the trace in Aero just to climb and train, and build muscle and build strength. But I am very convinced that, if I can handle it, from my back and neck standpoint, that I think I'll be in Louisville in Aero at least 90% of that course.
Yeah, you should be.
Whereas, like we did Wisconsin last year, and same thing almost. Other than I would have probably been more out of Aero on the downhills at Wisconsin. Because I don't like flying downhill in Aero.
Oh, I was on the brakes.
I get low, but I kind of do a lot of times I'll do half aero. I have one break and one, and it kind of helps me get down there. So, but anyway, it was such a breakthrough for me, that climbing an aero. And like you were saying, yeah, especially if you're going, what was the number you said? If you're going over X amount of,
well, I mean, I don't know what the exact number is, but I mean, between like 4 to 6 miles an hour, like once you get to be like really, really low, then you might as well just sit up. But if you can still sustain and do a controlled, aero on the hills and stay aero and not sit up and raise your heart rate and increase your power and probably go out of your zone, then always stay aero.
Yeah.
If you can. Yeah. If you practiced it, and that's something that has to be worked on, and not just kind of, I think I can do it on race day too.
So that's exactly the same feeling I had today. And I don't race with power. But I was trying to feel the same exact thing. Was I pushing? I was trying to stay, I don't know. It seemed to me in my head like I was doing about 85% too, 80 to 85%. Mm-hmm. And, but the other thing about, and I think I was in aero the whole day today for 25 miles, So, but what the other thing about it was the other day's ride was that in aero going up hills, it really forces you to focus on pulling up a lot more. It seems like it to me anyway. And today I noticed that, because normally on rollers and everything like that, I'll just I'll pound them, I'll be pushing down so hard, and that's when you can feel it in your quads. But today, as I was, spinning up in big gears, not huge hills, they were just kind of roller, some of them, but I noticed that like when you can get that full stroke going, at least part of it, and you can be effective with your pull up, it makes such a difference. I just didn't I didn't full feel stroke. That burn, and I had a fast, pretty fast ride for me at about 21 miles an hour, and which was solid, and I thought that's about what I could do. But it was just amazing, like how, if you're confident in aero and you're going into these like slow, gradual, not huge hills, how much of a difference that seems to make for me. Downshifting, of course, and I wasn't like powering really anything, but I don't know. It also makes my legs feel better when I'm pushing harder like that.
Oh yeah,
it balances it out so much more. Yeah,
you're no longer mashing.
And I think that's my ongoing hamstring issue. I'm wondering if that's kind of like starting to figure that problem out a little bit because of that mashing and getting a more universal, balanced, rhythmic stroke going on the pedals. Because I not only did it not bother me, they almost felt more alive today, and that's what I found out instantly coming out of transition, out of T2.
Nice.
Yeah.
So how did you feel coming out of T2?
Well, I was very curious as to how I was going to feel after.
You came out of T2 curious.
Yeah, I was.
Okay.
Actually,
curiouser.
Actually, I didn't come out of. I was actually optimistic coming out, but when I got off my bike is when I was like kind of went, because you can almost tell. I can almost the minute I get off the bike how my legs are feeling, and because you bounce in and you kind of jog in to throw your bike on the rack or whatever. But I was optimistic at that point because. I just felt like my legs had good spring in them. Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute that to?
I think it's just the way I've been riding. I think it's also, and I have been running more hills. I just like the last couple of Ironman races I've done. I haven't been running hills a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a bad plan. I think you got to run flats, even though Louisville's going to be flat. I just think running flats for a long way just uses the same exact muscles, and it overburdens, parts of your legs, and it doesn't give you a well-rounded, muscle growth. That's just my theory. That's my theory.
That's the theory of the day.
Yeah, and I think you're going to back that up a little bit.
I'm all about the bike.
Mm-hmm.
I felt the same way too today. I always, I don't know. I guess I've been doing this for such a long time that I don't, I haven't done really hardly any like true do the bike and then immediately get off and run workouts. Maybe like one this last 30 days, and that's like maybe probably not. More of them just been, a lot of run frequency and, a lot of, getting a lot of kudos and getting a lot of thumbs up on my Strava from my 30-minute, 40-minute runs at 10 or 11 plus miles an hour pace. But it's all about frequency, and it's all about volume, and it's all about staying with it. And I've been cycling a lot, and I'm feeling really strong on my cycling. And so I knew when I got off, I was just gonna. I felt strong. My second transition was, like I said before, like a lot faster than my first. I think it was around 50 seconds. So I blazed through, and I was ready to run. I knew there was only like, I don't know, 4 or 5 guys in front of me, I think, of the 39 and under group. And so I was like, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to take the first kind of 2 miles and wake the legs up and run my feel. And I checked my watch, it's such a bad habit. Like check my watch after like a half mile, and it was like 6:50, and I was like, what am I like? Stop it. So I stopped. And I was like, I'm just going to run my feel about what I feel like I can hold for, regardless of the terrain, what I can hold for the whole time. And it was flat to rolling, what I would say. It wasn't any huge hills or anything, and a lot of it was in the shade. But my legs wake up, and I know what, I'm like, all right, listen, I'm probably going to run around 45, 46 minutes. I'm pretty sure I can withstand an amount of pain for that amount of time. And so looking back at my splits, and I was pretty even with the feel, even Steven. I was 7:01, 7:10, 7:13, 7:11, 7:12. So I had 3 miles that were all within a second of each other. And then the last mile, I kind of kicked it with what I had left, and I did a 7-minute mile on my last mile, and then finished it off. And so I was really, really happy with my run, and I felt good. I felt strong. I felt, at this stage in my training and kind of where I am, I don't have like a 5K gear in me. And honestly, I really don't have much of a 10K gear in me as well. I'd love to see when they post the results, like what my run time was against the field. So I'm pretty happy with it, but I feel like I could have gone 4 or 5 more miles at that pace and been okay.
That's a good feeling.
I just felt strong. I'm like, oh, this is strong. Can I get my legs to turn over any faster? No. It's like my uphill stride was the same as my downhill stride. But like, again, it's about feeling strong, and I did. I felt strong and finished well. I'm sitting here, 5-6 hours later, and I'm a little sore, but I'm not wrecked, and so, yeah, I feel good. I finished at 2:16, which is within like a minute of a PR I set like last year, and I'm not sure what the course differences are or not, but I'm very, very happy with it.
Yeah, the strong feeling, man. That's the word of the day for me too. On the bike, I had a little bit of I didn't really do much of a breakfast thing this morning. It wasn't very solid, but my stomach was a little bit kind of wanky, and I just keep like sea salt in the bottom of my bento box. And so I was really kind of not loading up on it, but I just stick my finger in there, and I did it maybe like 4 or 5 times, and it seemed to settle my stomach. I don't know. We'll see about that. But anyway, so coming off the run, to run, I felt really good. And my thing was like, I just use a chrono watch, so I just started my watch when I came out of transition, and then I just sort of, when I start my run, I've kind of found that it's kind of good for me to start running heavy. I feel like it helps settle my run legs a little bit better. So I was kind of going a little slower but I felt like I was going pretty good clip, maybe like a 8:30 or something like that.
Okay.
And which for me was about perfect, coming out of there. And I got to the first mile mark, and I looked down, and it was like 9:06. And I think we figured out later that mile marker was off. But it
was off, yeah.
It mentally, it kind of was like, damn it. So then but it may have helped again. It's kind of like my bad swim. I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to settle for that, even though I felt like it was faster. But so I turned it up a little bit, and the next mile has a downhill section that was not super long, but it definitely felt like it was kind of downhill, and I just put it into gear. So I had my first mile was 9:06, and my second one was like 7:13 based on their markers. So I was like, but the weird part was that 7:13 felt good because I wasn't gimpy like at my ankle. I felt strong from my ankles, from my forefoot all the way through my knees, my my hip flexors. None of that was bothering me, and I just settled into this. A lot of times, what I do when I'm running is I go like 6 steps per breath or whatever. I mean, it's hard to articulate.
You have your own stride and breath kind of rhythm.
Right. So, but
I do too. I think everybody does, whether they recognize it or not.
Yeah, and that I know that 6 breath per rhythm thing is one I can kind of go at for a long time. But but I found myself kind of, because when I passed you, you were coming in, so it was like mile 4.5, and I was on mile 1.5 or whatever, and I passed you, and you're going up the hill, and I was like I was actually not holding back on that downhill because my legs...
Yeah, dude, you were flying.
My legs felt good right there, so... And I didn't feel like I had to ease my way down. I wasn't worried about anything. And so I came out of that when we got on the greenway, and the next thing I know, I recognized that I was breathing a little bit hard, and it was on that 4-step. But I know that's kind of my race pace too. And I just really just try to get into that pocket and trust it. And I felt fine, Hot
pocket.
Yeah.
You want to get that hot pocket.
It was a hot pocket. Deep, I was breathing hard-ish, but my legs felt, I don't know, I just trusted them and let go. And it was like, I was really enjoying that run.
Yeah, me too. It was a great run course.
Yeah. Although that, the same thing as always, that turnaround seems like it's never going to show up.
Yeah, I know, because it was like one long 1.5 miles straight away. And I was like, I picked my first guy off, and I was like, yeah, here we go. And I rolled up next to him, and this serves the guy right. He blew past me on the bike, and I was coming up to him on the run. He was like barely breathing. He was like, "Are you sprint or Olympic?" And I was like, I'm Olympic, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, what do you mean? Does it matter? Or why shouldn't you just be running as fast as you can? And I was like, Olympic, and he just kind of peeled back, so I could tell he was only doing the sprint. He asked a guy like how much farther it was to turn around. It was only probably another 100 feet. And here, as soon as he said that, this guy comes just flying back the other way. No, back. He was obviously winning the sprint.
Oh, okay.
And this other guy thought he was, and he thought he was in like cruise control. And he goes, "Oh, damn it!" And I was like, "Dude, if you're in a sprint, and you can talk like that, then you ain't going hard enough."
Yeah, that's no doubt. That's no doubt. Yeah. So, wow, I was surprised when I got to the turnaround. There was nobody even there.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I guess they're just trusting everybody.
They do. They trust you. But hey.
No timing, Matt. No nothing.
I like it.
Yeah, it's like old school racing, man. It's like honor system.
It is.
But yeah. So I don't know. I have no idea what my splits were. But I think that they were probably in the, I think I ended. What'd you say? I didn't even look. You said 750. I think was my average.
Yeah. I keep trying to look up whenever they post results, but yeah, according to the results sheet, you average 750s.
Yeah. So I think other than that, that first mile was probably 830, and then I think everything else was between, within a minute of that.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah. Ish. Minute-ish.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on, man. But that was like when I got done, I'm always sore or always gimpy or limping around, and I felt none of that today.
Mm-hmm.
How do you explain that?
Strong.
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, it probably also means like you may or may not have like that second gear to just thrash yourself, but you're not going for that gear.
Right.
And this is, this reminds like to, I think since we're about wrapped up doing a race recap is over this weekend I've got like 9 athletes doing Ironman Wisconsin. I got a couple doing Ironman Chattanooga. I got 4 doing Ironman Louisville. So like a lot of my athletes are in just like the throw of, the hard training. And it's like, and I saw this guy's post, I think in more like the public pages, and I wanted to like reach out to him, but I'm like, I'm not that guy. And whatever. He can dig his own grave. And he was like, day 1 of epic training for Louisville. And dude, it was like a 3,000 meter swim, an 80-mile bike, and a 15-mile run.
Day 1?
Yeah, that's or maybe it was like, day 1 of like, 3 days he's going to do like, he'll do 2 more days like that, not consecutive days after. But who knows with this nut job. And and so I was like, okay, he calls it like big day or whatever. Anyway, so I'm like, you, instead of, and this is my opinion, instead of you actually improving your time at Louisville, you probably just added time. And I've got another athlete that Erica Drakowski, who texted me. She was like about wanting to run longer, and I said, listen, Ironman is about being strong. You want to get to, and this, if you're listening and you're doing an Ironman is about how strong you are. It's about who breaks down the least. And you want to get to race day as strong as you've ever been. Brand new. Think of it as a building. A brand new, perfectly engineered, impeccable architecture, solid foundation, exactly how you want it to go. You don't want to build it, and you want to have your big grand opening and have it be just like it's the greatest it's ever been. It can withstand anything. Whereas you're training for an Ironman, and these 2 months beforehand, you're doing these like epic days. Well, you've probably already built your strongest of foundations because you know what you're doing now. You're just putting wear and tear on the tires.
Crumbling.
You were putting cracks in the foundation. And I know it's your ego and it's your self-doubt and it's anxiety, whether it's your first one or your 5th one, you're chasing a time, you're chasing a Kona slot or whatever it is, or a buddy. It's about getting there healthy, strong, and fresh. And if you can get there totally fresh and the strongest you've ever been, then watch out, world. Because you're going to shock yourself. Yeah. And doing these like epic days or these 20-mile runs are asinine. They're asinine. And all you're doing is crumbling and putting dents in the foundation. And that's not any way to prepare for a race. And to piggyback, and I posted this on my personal page, but I had like the typical like, all the hard work's paying off, all the hard work's paying off, all the hard work's paying off. Smart work trumps hard work any day of the week. Because anybody can do, if you have the time, anybody can do 18 hours a week, 20 hours a week, whatever it is, and smash it and have epic workouts and epic days and PRs on Tuesday, Thursday, Wednesday, Friday. But it takes real patience and real confidence to train smart and know and hold back. Because it's that feeling of holding back that also gives you confidence to know, all right, I'm holding back right now. But I'm pretty sure I could go this on with fatigue legs, with no taper, and no race day environment. So remind yourself of that if you're in like your last 30 days, 45 days, 60, 70 days like you and I are. It's about how smart you train. It's not about who does the grind and who does the PRs and who does this. It literally means jack. If I have a nemesis or a person I watch out and I see these like, I'm like, yep, see ya. Not worrying about you anymore. Bye, Felicia. I'm not even worried because you're just doing damage. You're doing damage. And I think it was not lucky for me, but Erica again, like she was like, make sure you don't burn a match. at the race, and and I said, well, I can't burn a match in the Olympic, but the fact of the matter is I haven't even built a match to burn yet. My well isn't even that deep to where I could just dig really, really deep and burn one. I'm still building the match, and I ain't gonna light that baby until October 15th.
You broke up there. You ain't gonna light it till what?
Till October 15th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all. That's that unknown, right? It's sort of like that's you got to prove to yourself that you can do it before you do it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where, people get in that mindset of like, oh man, I just need to. I've never done the distance or whatever, and it takes a while to build your confidence for that, but it's sort of like if there's lessons out there, and now people that build up to that, there's a lot, like pro triathletes, they're doing that kind of stuff, right? But that's a whole different type of thing. Well, I guess, and I think about
that's the thing. They're not because they know how ridiculous it is.
Yeah, well, not that. Not that specific, but they're going long. I mean, they're doing like 200-mile bike rides, and they're doing long runs and stuff like that.
All like zone 1, zone 2 chill, like super chill. Not trying to see, nothing even close to like quote unquote goal race pace, because all those things are just pipe dreams.
Yeah,
pipe dreams.
Well, the good example of this is we talked about Louisville, and my thing from day one has been to build distance on the bike, and we're being real patient with that. Like it would be my gut instinct tells me to go out and just start crushing some century rides, and going 120, go 150. That way, you can do 112, right? But I'm not ready for that, and I do have faith in the way we're training. We're putting the effort you put in, and that's why I like the hills so much, whether it be running or biking, is because you can put so much more effort with so much less pounding. And you know what I mean? You really build your muscles, and not, instead of just like, I think it's a great analogy, instead of crumbling your body with these ridiculous long runs and rides, and if you're not ready for that, if you're not built up to that, you're just going backwards. I'm a poster child for going short.
Right? Yeah, that's true. But it's also about like making these long rides purposeful. Mm-hmm. And doing something that's it's funny. Like I was thinking about this the other day, and I don't want to get off on like a huge tangent, but it was like, we spend so much, like, and we've talked about this in other podcasts, but anyway, it was like, there's these little things about courses that you always got to pay attention to and be mindful of when training. And I guess what reminds me was I just see so many like of these questions that people post about like, that I think are obvious, and maybe they're as obvious to me because I've been doing them so long, and I don't even read the athlete guide. I honestly just don't. I figure I'll just it's pretty much going to be the same. But I was like, these are all like, I hope you're paying enough attention to your training and the structuring of it and the things that are important based on the course you're doing, as you are about, where to set your eyeglasses and get your contact lenses. While that's crucial because you want to be able to see, like, there's just, or when is the swim starting and where does the line end and what's the way? I'm like, it'll be what it will be. And I hope you're putting this much worry and time and commenting on your own training as you are, creating your hypothesis for the ghost that is the Ironman Louisville athlete guide.
Mm-hmm. I gotta say, and again, like, nutrition is a big deal. That's one of the ones that just gets like beat up and down the block all the time. People are nutrition this, nutrition that, and it's a huge part of things. But if you're trained up right, and you're used to working in your training with nutrition, for example, I just think, I know we only did an Olympic today, but it was just remarkable to me how strong I felt and how little I even cared about nutrition today. That may not be the best, example to set or anything like that, but I just think when you get stronger and you get in better shape, that takes care of a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It takes care of a lot of worries. And
fitness takes care of a lot.
So I am 100% bought in now on just doing hills and Aero. It's just like, I just don't think it gets much better than that. For what we do, man. For Ironman racing, how can you lose there?
I'm not sure you can lose. I mean, there's definitely other things you need to do, but I mean, yeah, it's about doing the specific things that your race course requires of you.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and what we were doing the other day, for example, is we were climbing up in Aero, and then when we get to the top, we were working on getting over the top and getting on it.
Mm-hmm.
But
not
we
just
didn't
cruising and losing speed.
Exactly. And those are the types of things that make differences.
Yep.
And but again, we didn't do that the whole way. It's
right.
It would have been just it would have put us down for a few days, and then that's the other thing, right? It's like we did that, and kind of
72 hours later, we did our Olympic.
Yeah, and those are the amazing things that start to happen when you purposeful with your training efforts and strategies.
Preach.
Yeah, I'm not preaching, man. But
preach.
So where are we going from here, man? Just keep on the plan.
Keep on the plan. That's it. Don't divert. Just keep on keeping on.
Don't divert. Yeah, I mean, today was a great workout.
It was. I'll be back at it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, tomorrow's the getting back on the bike, or I'll probably go to the pool just because I have to. Or no, I might go to the lake, actually, because I have to meet the water.
Yeah. Do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do. Anything else going on?
No, man. Camp this week. Doing some more coaches' swim analysis and filling up the roster. All things good.
See if you can sneak mine in there real quick.
I'm working on it, dude. I was a little busy this morning.
I know. I'm just I just got a little bit of a, but I'm not concerned. Like I said, I just took it as a good workout, and I'm not stressing at all. I'm still swimming a lot. I just just whatever happened. And,
it's just a day.
It's just one day. And
just one day.
And it's day 31?
Sure.
Yeah, you're good on that.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, we're documenting every day of 100 days to Ironman Louisville on YouTube. Subscribe to Crushing Iron on YouTube, and you can check out all those videos. We have 30 of them in there, I believe, now. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of other stuff, including information on that swim analysis, which has been doing wonders for people. It's great.
Yep.
The feedback and testimonials have been awesome. There's there's a video in there about that if you want to learn more about that, and then you just get a hold of Coach at C26, coach@gmail.com, and he'll fill you in from there.
Fill you in and take care of business.
Yep. So we got a camp this weekend, next weekend, and then
no, this weekend, and then I'm in Columbia the next weekend, and then the next weekend.
Well, yeah, I meant next weekend. It is this weekend.
Yeah, sure.
But starting Friday. Friday.
Thursday.
Oh, Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that doesn't really count. The real fun starts Friday morning.
Right. But we'll get after it, and then all the fun really starts happening.
Mm-hmm. You'll be heading to Wisconsin with the crew on the first September, and then I'll be headed to Chattanooga for Worlds for our athletes there, and then it's just onward, then to Chattanooga, then to Louisville, and more in all races in between.
Yeah, we're gonna be hitting them up. We've got
hit them all up.
Do we got any gear left?
We do. Yeah, if you're interested in shirts or anything, you can email me at c26coach@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that about does it, man.
That is. I'm going to go try and take a nap.
Yeah, I tried earlier and it just wasn't happening, so I feel like I'm up now. Feeling good. I'll probably go for, I think a dog walk is in order, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Definitely a walk today.
Yeah, feels good. All right. Anything else you want to?
That's it, man.
6 podiums today.
6 for 6.
Pretty good.
Yeah, 6 for 6 today, and Carrie Glenn crushed her Ironman Boulder 70.3 debut yesterday. So, all in all, a great great weekend.
Yep. People are racing smart out there in the C26 camp.
Smart, fun, always good results when you do it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Until next time.
All righty. Thanks for joining us. Crushing Iron Podcast.
Out.
We're over
and out.
All right.